Today's my last day of the Warframe deal, so you better.
Man, you could hold that, nigga. I already finished that last night.
Oh, you didn't work.
You could buy
I'm
me
off
something
this
else
bit.
though.
I'm not buying you shit. I'm off this bit.
No, alright. Fuck you.
If you give me the
Alright.
plat, sure. I'm not buying anything.
Yeah, alright. But point is, niggas, we won.
Making peak.
Shit. It's just wait.
We really won. I knew it would happen any day at this point. Miyazaki proved to me that he just does not give a fuck about like it being a big event thing. That nigga shadow dropped it at like 2 a.m. last night.
Yeah. Were you awake? I woke up at 5 randomly. I think that was the universe telling me.
Nigga,
Look
I
at your
was
phone.
up at 4 a.m. because my fucking like throat follicles were fucking pincing me with sharp demon knives in my neck. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. And that's when I saw it. And I was like, oh my God.
Woke up at 9 and checked into the
Feels
Jurassic JB story.
it.
Well, initial thoughts right now. Just throw them out there. What you
Yeah,
think
just
about?
Off
just
top,
about.
so I'm pretty sure the shadow of the oak tree is meant to be a big tree. Or,
Okay, I don't know a single thing you just said. Are we on speaker?
no.
Okay, hold up.
Can you hear me?
No.
Y'all
You're
can't
kind
hear
of
me?
going in and out a little bit. That's why I
What about
said
I
now?
do
hold
think
up.
that is American, though.
I actually now believe that it's Mikola.
And that's one of the reasons why I think that it's either the great tree or the halig tree.
My current idea, I already said it on my story. I feel like it has to be the past, and that's Mikola riding Torrent because it literally would not work for it to be the
Yeah, if it was.
future, at least to
Yeah,
me, because one, if it's America, she's already dead,
and the
and
Erdtree is.
then two, it wouldn't work with Mikola in the future either, because that nigga is currently inside of Moog's cocoon, and he's like
Yeah,
overgrown and doesn't look like that anymore. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
I
if he
agree.
still has his like demigod powers, I guess he could just turn back to normal, but I doubt that.
I mean, the only it has to be the past because there's no other small nigga with long golden hair in the story.
True.
At least that's alive at this point.
That's why I currently think it has to be like my initial idea was like, okay, the Erdtree is clearly like having something wrong with it, and if it's in the past, I'm assuming this has to be prior to it being like what it is in modern day.
That's why I think it could be the great tree. The great tree was the tree that was there before the Erd tree.
I completely forgot about like that the primordial
Yeah, that's the
tree.
great tree.
Yeah,
Yeah, great tree.
I completely didn't even think about that. I mean,
Which is why I think it could be either the great tree, and that is America first showing up to the lands between as like a kid, or that's the Halig tree, like the first sprout of the Halig tree, and that's Mikola going to the Halig tree.
I don't think it's the Halug tree. I think ideally it's probably the great tree. I think that makes the most sense. If
And
it's the
I'm
great
banking on
tree,
either. I'm
if it's the
banking on
great
either of
tree, then
those
I
because
think it would make sense for Mikola to be like. It's still weird because I think this would have to be it either dying, but that doesn't make sense. I forgot if the Erd tree happens like that happens after America shows up, right?
yes, but that's the thing that Mikola wasn't born until after the Erd tree was sprouted.
It could be. This is kind of super headcanon, but maybe what's happening is the great tree is dying at the same time as the Erd tree is like being conjured, which is why you see like shimmers of light showing on the tree.
That would that would make sense, but that would kill. the Mikola thing because Mikola, all the children were born after the Golden Order was already established.
That is also true. I
So
don't
if
know.
we're going with
It's kind
that,
of weird.
that would have to be America.
I definitely think it's in the past, but we have no idea how to
No,
calculate
it's
what
definitely in the past. We
point
just
in
don't know who that
time
is.
this is supposed to be.
That could be a kid Godwin for all we know.
I mean, I didn't even think about that. I guess it could be Godwin, but I mean, well,
I
Godwin
mean,
was born first, right?
yeah, he's the oldest.
Oldest son. I mean, okay, maybe like uh, there's all the gravestones as well, like the ghostly graves.
Yeah, I don't know where that area is.
This
It
is
looks
definitely a
like
place I
early.
think we've never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like early, not early, like Leyendell before all the buildings were there because it has like the golden grass and shit,
That is true, but this looks
like
way more
Amber.
like brown, like darkish yellows and shit. I feel like this scene looks too like off color for it to be Linendale.
Well,
Because
Leyendell
it
also.
could also just be the dramatic lighting making it look
I was
less
about to
gold.
say that that's probably why because Leyendell has a bright yellow and blue sky. This has fucking gray ass sky,
Mm.
and it could just be the golden light diff because this doesn't have an Erdtree yet, and Leyendell does have an Erdtree.
So I guess it could be maybe prior to, it'll be prior enough to the Erdtree that the rest of Linendale currently is like off color because it's not configured yet. And
Yeah,
so
that's what I guess.
it still doesn't explain Mikola. I mean, actually, what if? Okay, hold up. I'm about to go take a flash to the past real quick. What if our entire theory about like Mikola's hand, like his big ass arm in Moog's cocoon, what if that
Yeah,
literally is like how we enter the DLC, and then Mikola is like projecting the past of the lands between through his like powers, and we're able to talk to him in what he considers his previous form. So like that's just a projection. That's not what he actually is like anymore. That's just what he remembers what he looks like since he's still a
that would
child.
be that would make sense, but it also wouldn't make sense about the time frame being messed up.
I mean, because it could be like Godfrey or America or somebody told him like what happened like prior to the Erdtree being built, and not many other people know about it. And so when we go
Well,
into his hand and he teleports us to the past and he's like talking to us in his like child body, he's like, "Oh,
that
I
would
heard stories about like what the lands between was like prior to my birth.
that
I could show it to you."
I would, I would agree with that, but Mikola is a scholar, so he knows everything about everything.
Well, that wouldn't that further strengthen that? If he knows everything, wouldn't he just be showing us what he knows?
Well, that again that wouldn't make sense because that he wasn't even born at that point, so him being there wouldn't make sense.
No, no, no. He's not. I'm saying he's not physically there. He's like taking us into like a bloodborne
Oh,
dream
like
world.
oh,
Like he's going off of
that
what he's been told or what he's like learned, and he's just showing
that
it to us, and he's just projecting his previous appearance.
I mean, that would make sense if there was a tarnish there with him in the thing, but it's him riding Torrent, so I don't know.
Hmm.
That's the only problem. If it was like something else, that would work, but it's still him on Torrent, and he, at least from the framework we're trying to work with, that is the Great Tree. Mikola wasn't born at that point because he's the youngest out of the kids, even though he's still super old. He's the youngest.
I still like to go with the idea that he like maybe he just learned about previous events, and that's how he takes us back to that point. Like it's purely based off of like his all the knowledge he's obtained, and so like he's sort of imagining what happened, and that's what he teleports us to.
That, and I agree, but that doesn't explain why he's riding Torrent in the picture.
I've seen people say that maybe Mikola was Torrent's former rider. I don't know how they got to that conclusion, but I have seen that be a talk within the community.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that if we're trying to rationalize him being there, it doesn't make sense because he wasn't born at that point. The dream thing makes sense, but if you're also trying to rationalize him being on the horse as well, that doesn't make sense because he wasn't even alive at that point.
Or maybe it could just be all for flair and like they don't want to depict the tarnish there, and it's just because Mikola is involved in the DLC, it's just him on Torrent.
I highly doubt that they would do that for no reason.
I mean, that is true, but I don't know. I'm trying to
Highly doubt
think
that
of
they would do
something. I definitely think he's taking us to a dream world. That is my current idea. He's taking us to a dream world. He's projecting himself, and he's trying to like show us the past, even though he wasn't physically there when it happened.
that. It still leaves a few holes, which is why I'm pretty sure that might be like a child America.
I mean,
Or if that is Mikola, then that's the Helig tree, because that's the only way that that even works.
the only reason I don't agree with that is because the Halug tree is all the way past like the mountaintops of the giants. You wouldn't see it from Linendel.
Well, we don't know where he was.
No, but like I'm saying like literally just from a geographical standpoint, he would not see it from this far. Like the
No, in
Halug
the
tree is
picture.
all the way past fucking the mountaintops of the giants and the snowfields.
Well, that's also the giant tree, full grown. Well, not full grown, but it's huge. And this one's got to be way smaller. It's not taking that much space.
I mean,
And it doesn't look like he's that far from the tree in the picture.
that's the thing. If he's not that far, it doesn't make sense because that tree was nowhere near that close. At least to me. I mean, because
Well,
okay, I'll
geographically,
go off
he's not
this
there.
right. You could argue that but I mean the Erdtree you could see from literally every location. You could literally see it, even though it's all the way in Lindendale. You could see it from as far away as Limgrave, and I would agree with that. But we can't see the Haluk tree from that far.
Well, he's not seeing it from the mountaintops of the giants in the picture.
That's what I'm saying. He's not. He's all the way in Lindendale. He wouldn't see it at all from here.
Well, we don't know if he's in Lando or not. That was a theory.
Oh, I mean, I. um,
Okay.
I mean, if we're going off the idea this is a completely new location, which I also think is possible, then okay, yes, this could be the Haluk tree. Wherever
Yeah,
he's at, he's like just making his way to the Haluk tree.
yeah. Or he's checking on progress or something. That's also if we're going off the idea that's Mikola. I think my I'm leaning more towards that that's like young America first showing up to like the lands between during the Great Tree Age, and the Erdtree's like just starting to sprout because it's starting to go gold.
I I initially was America pusher as well, but I don't know. I'm leaning more towards Mikola at this point, just because I feel like one of my main reasons why I'm turning more to Mikola's favor as well is because we kind of get a lot of America's story in the base game already, and Mikola is way more unknown. And I feel like going deeper into him would be more what the DLC would make sense to be about, just because we already have so much information about America.
I mean, do we?
I mean, if we're going off her versus Mikola, yes.
I mean, we know nothing about her prior to she's the Lord of all lords and she has a bunch of kids.
And she's a fucking alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Well, she's been controlled by one.
Well, no, isn't she an Empyrean? Those niggas are from outside of like space, right?
Not space, but they're from outside the lands between. That's also what. It's another thing. She's a Newman, which is another race that we know jack shit about from outside the lands between.
I feel like the fact that we already know this much stuff, and all we know about Mikola is that he built a tree, likes his older brother, and then got kidnapped by a Omen man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We know nothing about the Newmans, and there's only one mention of a Newman, and that's her,
I mean, I don't
which
know.
is
I
why
feel
it
like
would make
Mikola would
sense.
be a better thing to do. I mean, plus
I agree. We're
you
talking
could
like
get
we're
Marika
talking like it's
info
going.
out of this still, regardless anyway, because it's her
That's
son.
what that's, that's what the point I was about to make. We're talking like it's going to be one thing that's focused on the DLC. It could be both,
That is
but in
true.
this picture specifically, I'm pretty sure it's America leaning image.
I I definitely see that it's still a possibility, but I think it's higher likelihood to be Mikola at this point. But I mean, we gonna see. I'm praying to God the fact that we got this now. Usually the turnaround from like a DLC announcement to release is usually not that big for FromSoft, so I'm assuming we could get this bitch as early as like the summer, hopefully. That'll be the most ideal. I'm not gonna cope
Perfect.
and think it's gonna come out sooner than that, honestly. Because I mean, it's been a year and they only are announcing this now. I'm very much assuming. Plus, the tweet that they made announcing this said that it is currently in development. It almost sounded like
Yep.
they just started, which makes me believe it might not come out low key for even longer than I think.
I mean, that could be in development could mean almost anything.
Yeah, it could have been in pre-production for a minute. And maybe now they're just like,
Yeah, they could be done already.
well, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. When you say
I mean,
currently in production, that makes me think,
that's an
okay, they're
exaggeration, but
currently like at
Rockstar,
work and they are not done yet, or at
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
least
they're
Rockstar
close
has
to
starting.
done
being
that.
done.
Rockstar has done that multiple times where they say like we're still working on it and they're already
Yeah, no,
basically
Nintendo does that too. Every company does that just to
Nintendo
like.
does
Yeah,
that
but it
too. Game
says
companies do.
currently. It's not even like when I hear currently, I think like right in the mix. Like it's nowhere near even like close to being done. Like it's in the middle,
Well,
but
That's
like
still
the bare
production. I
minimum.
don't think we're gonna see a minute. But
exactly. There's no indication of middle, end, or beginning in currently in production, which is why I'm saying they could be done, almost done already, or they could be just starting. It could be either one.
I'm gonna lean a bit closer
Evidence
towards
for that
at least the middle or just
was
starting. Cause I mean it's been a year and they didn't announce it till now. That makes me believe that they needed the time before they even announced this shit. And so that makes me believe. Plus, I'm gonna like predict this right now. This is probably the biggest DLC they're gonna like release like in their current
yes,
like franchise
ever.
history
It's
because
gonna be
every other
massive. It's gotta
DLC has
be.
come out within like 5 months of release. This has taken literally an entire year before an announcement. This I'm assuming is going to be like unironically probably their biggest DLC they've ever released. Which I wouldn't be surprised. It's
Mhm.
just a heads up that usually they'll do like a season pass thing for like Dark Souls 3. They did that, and it was like I think like $20 or something like that. I low key could expect this to be like $30, and it's like one
Yeah.
giant thing where we get like an entire new open world, at least like 5 to 10 legacy, not legacy dungeons, like mini dungeons, and then at least 2 to 3 legacy dungeons. So like I think they would want to pump this bitch to the max. And that's not even
They might
factoring
not
like
even.
field bosses that would be in the open world as well.
oh
And all the
yes.
new weapons and shit. I assume we would get a new
Yeah.
arena to go with the DLC as well, like a new PvP arena.
Yeah. I might. They might not even fuck around with any like uh too much um like dungeon shit, just because this might be pumped with a bunch of lore.
I mean, I don't really see them just focusing on lore bits, just because.
Not just focusing, but it might. I'm guessing it's going to be less saturated with like side shit as much as base Elden Ring, just because they're trying to do something specific and not just make a good game.
I mean, I don't know about that. I think it's a bit more like they clearly do have more they want to say about it, which is very true. But at the same time, I think they also want to provide still more content. And so, in making the DLC, I imagine they don't want to do this just for story purposes. They also want to include like at least one new open area, bare minimum. Because I mean, the whole
I'm
game is
agreeing.
built on that. It's built on it being open world. I don't really see us getting the DLC and not having at least one new area.
No, it will, but I'm saying that they're not going to saturate it with as much like, oh, you can go do this and you can go into this dungeon and do this. Just because they have a direct goal and not just trying to make like a fleshed out game.
I feel like it would be in their least interest to do that though. If they're gonna bother making a whole new location, or not literally, I'm not saying like an actual new location, but a new area to explore. I feel like if they're gonna do that at all, they might as well make it in the same vein as the other ones in the game, where it would have at least a
Well, it's
couple
still
dungeons and it would have at least one main legacy dungeon to defeat, where you would fight
it'll still.
most
I'm
likely a
imagining
shard
it's
bearer,
still.
or not a shard bearer, but like someone of that tier in power.
I'm imagining it still will have some, just not as much as uh like not too many. Just because what they're trying to do is different.
I suppose so. And I also am 90% sure we're gonna get like more field bosses that aren't really connected to a legacy dungeon or anything. Hopefully, if this is uh, what we're theorizing, that it's prior to the Erdtree and that's the primordial Great Tree, I'm hoping we fucking just see ancient dragons flying everywhere.
I'm pretty sure you might.
Oh
In
yes,
fact,
nigga. I hope we get Grand
you might.
Sax as a boss fight finally.
That would be crazy. I'm pretty sure we might see like Farah Missoula on the ground.
Oh my fuck. Yo, hold up. What if where we're going is Faramazula?
I mean, I would suspect you can go there. I don't know if that's where we're going. I mean, it seems like that place would have been like maybe the size of like Leyendell on the map.
I don't know, bro.
So maybe it's
You
just a
just put
separate
that in my
continent.
brain because that would have been on the ground, I think, by that time, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh yes, nigga. And the ancient dragons would still be flying around because America, if this is as early as we're predicting, America didn't even start war with any of these niggas yet. So to
What's that
literally
giant
be
dragon in Khalid? It's just right.
giant dragon and Caleb, that's. Are you talking about the statue one that you get the dragon communion?
No, he's
Notable.
talking about the one that's stuck in the ground. That
You get
that
like
thing is
80,000.
That's
that's like a
stuck
third
in
generation dragon.
that's stuck in the ground.
Remember that giant dragon in Caelid that gave you like 75,000 runes? You killed it,
Uh,
and it's alive.
I'm trying to think. Am I forgetting?
It looks
Dragon
like
in Caleb. Are you talking about the like? Oh, Grail, not Grail. Fucking,
yes,
what's that
it
nigga's?
looks like Grail.
Yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's
Yeah,
the.
that is like that's a second generation dragon.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
not
still
a.
not an ancient dragon, but it has the like stone color skin. I don't know if that is significant or
I
not. It could
expect
just be it being
I think
old.
yeah, it could. I'm pretty sure that's just it being old as fuck because it's not really stone. It's just this gray skin. It probably is wrinkled as fuck.
Well, that nigga might be around during this time. Actually, probably not
I don't.
might be actually.
Probably not. All the way back then, hell no. Because the dragons, the damn the dragon communion shit basically just started at this time.
Yeah, I forgot.
Freaking Lanciacs are out here having strokes. The humans.
Oh yes, that'll be lit
Oh my
too. A
god.
super in human form.
Yeah,
I
we
actually
might see
died.
some more like we might see some more like human dragons this time around
How am I
too.
playing Ludwig at 10 a.m.?
I don't know
I
if
already beat him last night.
you're doing that right now.
Yeah, I've been doing it.
Nigga,
Dream
I might
tries
Jim,
have to
me.
play Warframe and level up my gyre right now.
how do you feel about possibly seeing some human form dragons in the DLC?
Nigga, you know exactly how I feel. I need to be able to do that in the game.
Okay.
I need like
How do you
some
feel
sort
if
of
you talk?
incantation that could transform me into a draconic nigga with horns and wings. I
Okay,
love
what if you
niggas that just have horns and wings. Just evil, draconic beings.
what happens if you meet some nigga on in the DLC, he daps you up. He's like, "Damn, you're kind of cool. My name's Fortisax."
Nigga, I would. I might
Dude, it's
cry.
not
Low
happening.
key. I might
Eh,
cry. No fucking. I would be like, you know those memes that are like me going back in time to save the dinosaurs from going extinct
yeah,
and like telling them to watch out for the meteorite? That would be me going back to tell Fortisax, yo, don't go inside your nigga. You will
don't
get
try anything.
corrupted, bro. Don't do it. And he'll have no fucking idea what I'm talking about.
And then he'll probably still do it because he's a great friend.
Yeah, he's just like me. It's just me as a dragon, nigga. I love Fortisax. Just going inside and getting corrupted by evil death energy and losing his brain and having evil lightning and conjured through hatred and frustration. I love him
A
so
lot of people's
much.
brains get rotted in Elden Ring.
Man, well, how
What?
about I rot your brain?
Okay. How about you eat glue?
Oh, yes. The evil empire delicacy.
I'm mad
You're
as
being
fuck
rude.
right now. I forgot that
Love
if
putting
this
gorilla
is
glue and fucking
okay,
bacon, egg, and
We love,
cheese.
we love eating glue.
I love putting gorilla glue in my bacon, egg, and cheese.
Oh, yes, nigga.
So fuck. And I just realized that if it is America, I don't get to see young Radon, so I'm a Mikola enjoyer now.
Okay, well, easy work. Because I
I'm praying to
need.
Jesus.
What's funny is that if it is Mikola, everything we just talked about could still happen. We could still get Grand Sox. We could get Young Radon still. So, low key, if it being America would be the only way I think we lose.
Yeah,
Well,
honestly.
I mean, the Dragons
I
would
mean,
come
we
down to
win.
both, but you wouldn't get Young
Man, I don't.
Radon, I think, if that's not Mikola.
I mean, I'd get young,
You would get
young.
Godfrey.
Yeah, I was supposed to say I'd get like a younger
And I
Godfrey.
hate it.
That
Get a
is
younger
true.
Godfrey.
Yeah,
That's
young
kind of sick,
tarnished out.
actually.
Actually, I didn't even think about that. Would there be just tarnished walking around like literally in
Everywhere.
this time?
Yes.
That's interesting. Actually, we might get
And
like scenes of fucking like soldiers just starting to like attack random civilians that are tarnished. Because
if
that's when
this
that
is,
first started. Like
yeah,
basically racism.
if this is the time of the Great Tree, that means there are omens just walking around too.
Yeah, well, low key, we might actually see that like happen in game. Like you know those areas that just have enemies that are fighting each other prior to you interacting with them?
Yes.
We might literally just
Yeah.
have like sections of omens getting attacked by people and just driven out of their homes and shit.
I mean, at this point, that hasn't happened yet. If it's still the Great Tree, that means they're just chill.
Well, this would be it just starting to like get overtaken, I would assume.
Well, that the hatred of the omens only started after the Golden Order was established.
Mm,
So if this is still the Great Tree, then that didn't happen.
I guess we gonna see. I do
Yeah,
think
and that did take years of brainwashing because before that point, that was a good thing,
that
being
is
an omen.
also true. The Omen were like seen as like a good luck thing because they were
Yeah.
connected
So
to primordial
yeah,
shit.
great. Yeah. So the Erdtree has to start, and then America has to start pushing P, and then the
Hey, I
omens.
did it. All right. I killed Ludwig.
Nice.
Easy money. Now we need to
Ten,
do
10,
that so we could kill him on my profile so we could fight Lawrence together.
I got to fight him +2.
What?
I got to fight him in New Game +2.
Yep. Oh yes.